now we're in our second section where I'm going to elaborate a little bit on some of the stuff we discussed earlier. And again, what I'm doing, you'll be familiar with this by now if you've been following along, but I'm still inside of my Google Docs account for my Google Apps, Coffee Kooks, and I'm actually pulling my presentation out of these shared folders, which I don't own. These original presentation documents are owned by my other Google account, my personal account, and I have them shared with Google Apps. So let's talk a little bit about creating a document. I want to return to our scenario and say part of our coffee shipment contains a Word document that we would like to upload and share and, if possible, translate because it is not in English. So this is our scenario. I'm going to pull up a Word document. And this Word document has some significant features that will impact how we upload it into Google Docs. The very first thing that you'll probably notice if you're not a Swahili speaker is that this document is in Swahili, which I'm sure there's people on the call who speak it, but I'm not among those people. So I have a bunch of text in a non-English language that I'd like to translate. I also have some non-standard fonts. This font right here for the title looks like it's called Chumley Fatty, and the font of the text is actually called some sort of handwriting font. I would not expect these particular fonts to be available inside of Google Docs. So if I were to convert this file, I would lose that formatting. And also we have some images here. We've got a little coffee bean. And then we have this schematic image here. And I want to sort of draw your attention to another element of formatting. This particular image actually has a very tight text wrap around it. So it's not a blocky text wrap where, like you have here, where the text follows around the exterior of this rectangle. The text in this case, actually follows around the image itself, which is a circle, and so we see this sort of text wrapping. This is just a specialized formatting feature. We also down here have this little text box, which doesn't appear to be in Swahili. And this is not an image, but it's a text box, and I can double click on it and edit the text if I want to. And so it'll be interesting to see, that's another kind of very specific formatting option. So it'll be interesting to see exactly when we take this document how it uploads. So I'm going to actually press Command H on the Mac to hide that window and pull up my Google Docs folder again. And I'll click on Upload. And I'll do the same thing that I did a moment ago, which you saw. This file is actually called Heavy Word Doc. So I'll click that. And I want this document to be converted into a Google Docs format. So when I click on Start Upload, hopefully it won't take quite as long to grab this little 100K document. It didn't. I can go back to Google Docs and sort of see what happened. Right now I'm looking at my Google Apps presentations folder. I just want to click on all items. That'll show me all of my documents. And way up here at the top, I have this Heavy Word Doc file. So let's click on that and see what happened. Now immediately we can see there were some pretty substantial changes made. In fact, up here I've got this Chrome browser extension that asks me if I want to translate this page. We're just going to ignore that. But our beautiful fonts, first off, are gone. This is Verdana that we're looking at. All the text appears to be this sans serif Arial looking font. And so basically, we had this specialized font inside of our Word document. Now it's gone. If we had a specialized font inside of a PDF, we would see it. And that would be no problem, but we wouldn't be able to edit the PDF because that's one of the limitations of PDFs. You can't edit them very easily, certainly not inside of Google Docs. So that was a piece of formatting that we lost. We also see this little text box here, or this was the text that was inside of our text box. If I want to return back to, my Word, we can see that here's the Word version of that text box. Make that go away. This is just sort of floating text out in the, out inside the document. It's not demarcated by a box, and that's because Google Docs doesn't appear to do text boxes, or at least not in the exact same way that Word does. And I also have this bookmark here, and this bookmark is kind of like a hyperlink or a table of contents marker. And so when Google Docs looked at that text box, it basically, this is how it interpreted it. It created a bookmark, which I don't really need, and then extracted the text from the text box and just dumped it up at the top of the document. Down here we see the images appear to have moved pretty smoothly. But I don't have the tight wrapping around this particular schematic diagram. And that's just because Google Docs doesn't do the tight wrapping. And those are, in summary, the differences in the formatting. Now, it may seem that I'm trying to draw your attention to what you might take to be drawbacks or inadequacies of using Google Docs to upload, lots of Word documents. For me personally, these issues are not problematic at all because my documents that I keep are all very lightly formatted. So, I'll do things like different font sizes and bold and italics, and Google has no trouble parsing that information out of my Word files or my spreadsheet files or all that. But if you're not like me and you spend a lot of time doing elaborately formatted Word documents, then this is something that you'll want to pay attention to. Google Docs used to be pretty abysmal in regards to converting Office documents accurately. And it just gets better and better and better. And actually this morning I ran through this just to make sure that all of the things that I just described to you that it was not able to upload correctly hadn't changed, and that the Google engineers hadn't figured out how to represent text wrapping in precisely the same way as it was represented inside of Word. But and for a lot of people, and again, not for me, but for a lot of people, this is a big deal when it comes to making a transition from using Office-based documents into going into Google Docs. So that's one thing I want to draw your attention to. Another thing, I'm just going to pull up a fresh, clean document here, and we'll come back to that other document in a moment. Let me make my screen a little bit smaller. I'm just pressing Command plus and Command minus to zoom in or zoom out on my screen size. I know I've been mentioning keyboard shortcuts because that's one of the things I'm going to talk about today, just for your information. A lot of this stuff is very standard content inside of Google Docs that you'll be familiar with, if you've ever used the Microsoft equivalents before. Up here we have a print button, undo and redo, and we've got style buttons and font buttons, and a lot of these insertion and formatting elements are things that are going to be familiar with you already. But we also have this button right here, which is the web clipboard, and this is something that is kind of different, that I think you should be pretty familiar with. If I say I'm going to create a drawing document real quick. If I just create a drawing and I create a little scribble and just draw some scribbly lines, and let's say this is just my attempt at modern art. I'll call this session 3 scribble. I just clicked on the document name and am renaming it. So I've saved a new drawing just now inside of my Google Docs installation. If I want to insert that drawing into this document, I could click on Insert, and I would click on Drawing, and I get this drawing box. And it's easy. It would be easy for me to do a drawing here, but I already have a drawing. Like if I want to copy the drawing that I already created, It's sort of funny because Google does not give me the option yet to take a pre-existing Google Docs drawing and import that into my document. So what we have here is just a place where I could, scare up a quick drawing, which is easy to do, and I'll actually do it in the presentation discussion in a few minutes. But it's not what I want, because I really want this document in here, this drawing inside of my document. And the way that you actually get a drawing inside of a document is you load up your drawing if you've already written one. I'm going to click on Edit, Select All, and that will select all of the drawing objects. And then I can go to this web clipboard. And if I click on the down arrow, it will say Copy Shape to Web Clipboard. And I'll just click on that. And basically, this is like, you're probably familiar with cutting and copying and pasting, text inside of a normal application. The web clipboard is for copying and pasting advanced Google Apps or Google Docs elements within Google Docs. So I couldn't necessarily use just the normal cut and copy here to get this image outside of Google Drawings and into this Google document. And if I go back over to the Google document and click on the web clipboard, I actually have two shapes here. There's one that one little squiggle that I did when I was practicing, and you can actually see a preview of them. I can just pick the one that I want, and there you go. It actually will stick my image right inside of the document. And now there's no syncing or anything. This image, this content, this drawing object is now unique to the Google document. It's not like linking to the other Google Doc other drawing that I created. But I wanted to just sort of draw your attention to the web copy or web clipboard feature inside of Google Docs in case you have a complicated object inside of one Google Docs application that you want to get into another one. That's how you do it. So I didn't have a whole lot to talk about in regards to documents because I find it to be extremely straightforward software. Those were two pieces of information that I thought you should know about, and now's another good time to take questions.
Question from the chat room. Is there a way to have images live linked to Google Doc files?
No. When you put an image inside of a Google document, it is sort of copied and pasted into that document. So when I was writing Headfirst Data Analysis, or Headfirst Excel, I used a program called Adobe InDesign, and I had all of the images that were present that you see in those books linked in separate files. So if I could modify one of those image files, then it would be automatically updated inside of my book file, which is like really powerful and useful and important when you're dealing with advanced, publishing, desktop publishing issues. And there's something inside of the Microsoft sphere called OLE, Object Linking and Embedding, which enables you to do something very similar. I actually haven't done this for a very long time inside of Microsoft Word, but at least several years ago, I know that when you imported an image, you had the option of saying whether you wanted the image linked to an external file or not. And right now, no. In Google Docs, that isn't an option. And that was actually one of the things I was sort of whining about a moment ago in regards to not being able to link a drawing file to an instance of that file inside of a regular Google document.
We have a question here from the classroom.
So I was just curious if there's any integration with Picasa, which is also a Google kind of application on the side. I noticed it sort of uses part of my my allocated memory or storage, and I'm wondering if there's a way to maybe hyperlink into photos there. Right.
I have not personally done that. I know that if I go to insert image, I have the ability to upload an image from a URL, and I could conceivably use a Picasa URL for an image to insert into the document. But in terms of formal integration where I could see my documents and my Picasa images into like a single view, which is something that you would get just on your normal file system on your computer. I think that at this moment they're still kind of separate, even as you say, as they draw from the same storage allocation for your user account.
And SJ in chat would also like to know if there's any integration between Google Docs and Dropbox, Evernote, or Backupify, which I'm not sure how to pronounce.
Yeah. I use both Dropbox and Evernote, and I would guess not. I may be wrong about that. But I think that sort of third-party application syncing to your Google Docs file space is something that's in the Google Apps sphere restricted to the Premier users. But I may be wrong. I would be interested to know about that, because as you know, Google Dropbox is a neat little piece of software that cloud syncs locally stored documents. And in fact, I did a whole bunch of stuff. I was traveling over the weekend, and I did the write-up of the tip sheet on my wife's computer and put the file into Dropbox and came back to my own computer, and it was synced to my own computer. So yeah, like that kind of software is extremely useful. I don't think it's available with Google Apps Standard. It may or may not be available with Premier versions, but I would certainly expect those types of features to be very lavishly supported in future versions of the web app, because it's just so useful.
Question from GoToWebinar. If one needs to copy and paste words and lines of text between docs, would one use the web clip feature like with drawings, or just regular edit, copy, paste?
I believe that the way it works, I'll just actually do this for you. Let me make sure. I'll run through it both ways. I'm right here inside of one document, typing here is a line of text, and if I create a new document, I can select this file. I just triple-clicked on it, do edit, copy, and it should have no trouble pasting. Whoops, maybe it did. This is a sheet I was looking at a moment ago. I actually believed I thought that text copied and pasted without any trouble. Let me see, this document's giving me issues right now. Let me open a new document here, and I'll just go to edit, paste. Okay, well there you go. I actually thought that the web clipboard was necessary for only advanced objects like drawings. But it turns out that there's a bunch of issues at play here. There are actually 3 different ways of copying things inside of Google Docs. There's the web clipboard, which I've already showed you, and then there is using keyboard shortcuts to copy and paste, and then there's using the menu system to copy and paste. And if I type in Command C here, which is the copy, or Control C on a PC, and then go back in the document and then do Command V, then it has no trouble pasting that. But for some reason, going from Google Doc to Google Doc, it doesn't like using the edit option under under this menu. And the same thing will happen. I mean, if I have this highlighted right here, and I can use the web clipboard to copy it, and then go back over into my new document. Now I'm in my new document, and use the web clipboard to paste here's a line of text. So evidently, even for simple text, you need to use web clipboard or the keyboard shortcuts to go between documents. And the edit menu only works inside of a document. So that probably has something to do with the limitation of using the browser for this type of application, and I would expect that discrepancy to go away in the future as well.
Another question from GoToWebinar. Is there a way to get fields that were on your previous PDFs transferred into Google Docs?
A way to get fields. So I think the question is, one of the ways in which PDFs are often also used as forms, such that the IRS, the first ones that come to mind are the IRS tax documents. You can download PDFs and fill them out, and you may or may not be able to save them with the information filled out, and but you can print it. In terms of basically, if you had a PDF with forms that was savable and you saved it and then uploaded it into Google Docs, could Google Docs automatically read and extract the information and put it into a spreadsheet? Say, I don't think that it would do that automatically, but I think that there are probably ways you could hack something together to make to make something like that more feasible for you. So, for example, on the forms feature that we used last week, you can actually create URLs that fill out the forms just purely inside of the web link itself. So if there was like some sort of third-party application that you could use to extract the data from the PDF and then create URLs that contain the form information, and then you executed those URLs, you would have a pretty quick way of getting it into a Google spreadsheet. But that's just off the top of my head. I don't think it does that out of the box. The cloud box, I guess I would say. So I think we should probably move ahead. I mean, unless there are any quick questions left.
I have a quick question from the chat room from a MIB. Can we embed one Google Doc into another?
Well, we just did that when I created a drawing. But I think that you're kind of limited to drawings in regards to embedding documents directly.
The question goes on to say, like, we embed a PPT in a doc.
Yeah. I obviously you can do that inside of Google Sites. I'm pretty sure you can do that inside of a Google spreadsheet. One of the things I really wanted to get to last session but didn't have the opportunity to is a feature called gadgets. And gadgets are present in spreadsheets just as they're present in Google Sites, and you could insert a presentation gadget into a spreadsheet. But I don't think gadgets are supported inside of Google Documents. So I don't. And then it's kind of a question. I mean, it's an excellent question, but you have. I mean, I don't think that documents are normally treated as interactive in the same way. Like if you wanted some sort of piece of, I'm being defensive of Google here for not including the gadgets feature inside of its documents at this point. You might want to interact with the spreadsheet as a collaborator, or and you certainly would interact with a web page. But I think they may have omitted gadgets from Google Docs simply because, or Google Documents simply because the documents aren't necessarily terribly interactive. So I'm sure you can look for gadgets depending on what you're trying to embed and where. That's probably the best place to start.